So this is Chapter 4, Project 1A. So Chapter 4 is about how we present the Excel sheet or the tables. For example, when you want to print or when you want to sort the data in a certain way. So we're not really changing the data themselves, but we change the column widths and the area we print and that sort of kind of things. So let's go ahead and save this file, the data file, as the way the textbook asks us to save, and save in the same folder in Chapter 4. And click on Save It. So we have a rather large table. So whenever we see this kind of table, I want you to spend some time to understand, read through the table, and to see what is going on. So, for example, we have columns January through December, and then we have total. So that basically total means the total for the year, because we have January through December. And then we have major row heading that is called income, and then we have total income, and in between we have items, row columns such as sublet rent. So as an income, we rent a part of our building. Sorry about that. And then also we have some kind of contract, and here's another kind of contract, and then wedding portraits, senior portraits, and catalog pictures. So that's our core business, these items. And we'll have income. So here, for example, for January, we have a total for all these activities, and then it goes on all the way through December. And looking down here, we have kind of similar thing going on. I'm sorry about jumping up and down. So basically we have same thing, except this time we have another major expense, a major row heading, which is expenses. So we have a bunch of incomes. Now we have a bunch of expenses, such as mortgage. We pay utilities such as electricity, water, sewage, and that sort of kind of things. And we pay insurance, and we buy equipments and supplies, and we lease equipments. And then we have total, and we have the profit. So that's what's going on. So let's take care of some formulas, simple formulas, such as total for sublet rent. So that's for the annual income. And let's see. So we'll just use a simple auto sum. So let's go ahead and click on auto sum button, and make sure that the marching ants are surrounding the correct range of cells. And once you confirm it, meaning that from January all the way through December, and once you confirm it, you press the enter key, and then go back, click on the cell again, and then do the autofill all the way down to row number 10. That includes catalog pictures. Okay, so then come down here. For January, I want to add all these income items. So again, I'm going to use AutoSum and confirm the visual cue, such that is the marching ends. You cannot really see it for sure, but I can see a little bit about marching ends down here, including row number 10. And also I can click on the formula bar. You can see the blue line coming down here, and also I can logically confirm that it includes B5, which is that one, all the way through B10, that's row number 10. So that's correct. So hit the enter key and then click that cell again and then do the autofill. I'm not sure exactly what's going on, why it's keep popping up, and let's see, do the autofill all the way and all the way to the total. And now I see the total income for the year was about just a little bit over $100,000. All right, let's take care of this similar thing here. I'll come to the mortgage total, do the autofill, AutoSum, press the enter key, click that cell again, and do the autofill. I can come down here this way, that'll be okay too, but I'll just come down this way. And for the January total for the expenses, AutoSum, now I see the marching ends, and once I confirm that formula is correct, press the enter key, click that cell again, and then do the autofill all the way. And now I notice that the total expenses was $95,000, just about $95,000. Okay, now here's a true test. Real formula here. We need to calculate the profit, meaning that for January, okay, what's the profit for January? So how do we calculate it? Well, formula starts with an equal sign, always. So if we subtract the expenses from the income, then we'll get the profit, wouldn't it? So click on B11, that's the total income for January, minus B20. So that's the total for the January expenses, and press the enter key. So the profit was, for January, it was about $1,500. And then I do the autofill all the way to the end. And I noticed that some cells has number with parentheses. So that basically means there was more expenses than income. So we lost money. So for example, in February, we spent more than we earned, so about $2,400, and so on. And at the end of the year, the profit was about $5,300, which is not that much, but that's the number. Okay, so what we have done is adding some data analysis. So we had a data to start with. So that was the data, meaning that somebody had to enter or key in these numbers. So that's raw data. Same thing here. That's the raw data. You know, somebody found out how much we paid the mortgage, how much we paid for electricity, sewage and water and garbage collection and all that. Somebody figured it out how much we paid insurance and all that kind of things. So that's a data. And based on data, we did some analysis. So for example, monthly income. So what's that for? So this is something called information. When we do the analysis, what we get out of it is something called information. So for example, let's say you want to have a vacation. You work hard every day, so you deserve a few days, if not whole week of vacation. When would be the best time in terms of your income to take a break, take a vacation? Well, do you like June, in the middle of summer? How about look at that? So you made $11,000. That is a lot of money. Compared to that, in November, it was almost half of the income activity or income amount. So perhaps you may want to take a break. If you consider only solely on the income or business activity, the best time to take a break or vacation will be, I would say, November, based on the income, or February. That was less than $6,000. So that's the information. That's a piece of information. And then also, let's say you want to improve your income and you want to invest your talent, your resource, and your time to improve your income. So what area would you focus? So for example, we have all these income areas. Well, then take a look at the totals for those incomes. So for example, here, what's that? That's the wedding portraits. And that's pretty much more than half of the income. So the total income was $100,000, and the wedding portraits were over $55,000. So you will see that you'll understand that you probably want to spend more resource of yours to improve your income on wedding portraits. Perhaps you spend more time meeting with wedding organizers, planners, get to know them and have them get to know you. Maybe you can go to a wedding convention to promote your business, or whatever you need to do. Okay? And the biggest one was senior portraits, like high school senior portraits. Again, you want to spend more of your resources on connecting with school officials or whatever you need to do to improve your business with the school districts and schools and so on. So that's what it means to extract information through analysis. So that's the information that you may not be able to extract easily with just data, but once you have some analysis such as that and such as that, you can kind of easily see what you need to do and how you can make a decision, how you can make a good, logical, productive business decisions. And another example would be, let's say you are considering purchasing this business. What do you want to take a look at? Well, down here. This business at the end of the year made about $5,310, which is not a whole lot of money. So that's something to think about. But if you look at this a little bit more detail, you'll notice that the mortgage payment, so let's say this business owns a building, and that's why we had a sublet here too. Anyway, this business spent over half of its expenses in mortgage. So that in a way could be considered as an not a real expenses in a way, in terms of a big picture in the business, because that money actually goes down to paying down for the building. So the real sense of income could be, I would say, almost $50,000, not $5,000. But again, you can see that easily by having some data analysis. And that's why we have Excel. All right, so that's enough. And let's get into what the Excel chapter, this chapter 4, is about. So we'll be working on page layout here. So in particular, we'll be working on the page setup group. So first, take a look at margins. And margins, what is margins? So, well, we have this, if you can see, you have this rectangular, which represents the paper, the printing paper, and there's an inner rectangular shape. That is the print area. So if you were to print this table, it's going to be printed only within this inner box space. And this long rectangle here and at the top and bottom, they are called margins. M-A-R-G-I-N, margins. We have top margin, bottom margin, left and right. So depending on how much margin that you put in, you will manipulate the area of a printing. So for example, the second option, you put a lot of margins, almost big as, or if you combine left and right margin, you have more margin than actual print area. And third option, very tiny margin. So you don't want to go too little, because your printer may have hard time printing accurately. But if you have a good printer, then you can push to the limit. For this exercise, we're going to go click on custom margins, because it gives more options. So let's bring it down here. So first of all, let me just go take a look at different tabs. So we have tab, page tab, margins, header and footer, and sheet. And you will come to those tabs through different links here, different tools. But basically you come to the same dialog box with different tabs. All right, so we have margins. We have left 0.7, that's in inches, and here right margin 0.7, and the bottom we have 0.75, that's 3/4 of an inch, basically the same thing for the top. And we have something called footer and header. So that area is right here, that's the header, and down here that's the footer. So that's those two areas is part of a printable area, but it's a special printable area. So you put, let's say, page number, producer's name, or location of the file, and that sort of kind of things. Okay, and then come down here, we have center on page. So these means basically if you select, put a check mark, then it centers. So if you center horizontally, so it'll put right in the center, left between left and right. And if you check the vertically, and it'll center between top and bottom. So if you want to center right dead center, right in the middle, you want to have those two check boxes checked. Otherwise, take it off. You can kind of see here, little change here. Okay, let me just put this back on. And then come down here. Let's go ahead and change the bottom margin. So let's change the bottom margin to let's say 1.5. You can change this way, or you can enter the number, and you can see this kind of guideline coming up. By the way, in this chapter, a lot of things is basically you change the value, property values, and see what it happens. That's basically what we're going to be doing. You're not really going to see any change of formulas and data and that sort of kind of things. This is kind of things that you kind of play with it and see what the result is. So I would say I pay less attention in terms of exact number, but how the change of number affects the outcome. Okay, so 1.75, 1.5, and then change the top. Let's say I'm looking at the figure in the chapter, page 111. So I change it to 3.5 inches. That's a lot of space at the top. And left margin, right margin, I'll just leave it as a 0.7. And let's go ahead and click on OK. What do you notice? Nothing changed, except you have this dotted line going down and dotted line going left and right. So these are the indicator of page break, meaning that when you were to print now, this first top left quadrant will be printed on page 1. And then down here, page 2, but that's nothing there, so it's going to print this one on page 2. Okay? So let's take a look at it. Go ahead and click on File, and then click on Print, and you'll see this is the print preview. So this is page 1 of 2. So you can go to the next page that way, or you can scroll up or down. So if you were to print this, it doesn't look that good, does it? Because the table got chopped in 2 halves. So that is not that professional look. Okay, so let's go ahead and fix it. Go back to the File tab or click on Home tab. Doesn't matter, either one is fine. And let's change it. Well, there are many different ways to remedy or fix the problem. One thing is, because this table is such a wide table, not necessarily tall, okay, it's wide table. So let's go back to the page layout. So I'm looking at, right now, I'm looking at project 1B on page 112. And on the page layout tab, inside the page setup group, let's take a look at orientation. So orientation has two options, either portrait or landscape. So portrait got the name from picture taking. So if you were to take a portrait, like, you know, let's say high school senior photo. So there's a head, there's a kind of a shoulder, there are shoulders and chest. That's a portrait. Or if you were to choose landscape, let's say you want to have a picture of open field, probably you want to have camera turned around so that it'll be wider, not taller, but wider. So that's called landscape. So we have portrait and landscape. So I want to go with the landscape because that fits better with the shape of this table, which is wide rather than tall. And I noticed this dotted line going around. Again, that's the page break line indicator, and it still chops off from November through total. So okay, it's better, but not quite good enough. And then we have other option, which is size. Click on size. So 8.5 inch by 11 is kind of regular printer paper. That's a letter size, they call it. And then we have a legal size, often used by lawyer's office when they have a long documents. They use long paper. That's longer paper. Same width, 8.5, but longer, 14 inches. But this is long, but since we are using landscape, it's not just long, but it's actually wide. So there you go. It works. How about that? But still, I noticed that this page break indicator chops off. It's kind of funny. It chops up the total. So that doesn't fix the problem all the way. So we will have to do something about that a little bit more. So in this case, you could do let's say I'm looking at project 1C on page 114. You can do a few things. Let's try manage the breaks, the page breaks. So click on that. And then you can manually insert page break. Okay, and click on that. And what do we have? So how do we change the page break? So you can see this kind of a little bit, right now it's a little bit thicker line going around. So you can click on it and move it down. No, that doesn't work. So what do we do? I'm going to undo it first. Okay. So when we work with the page breaks, we need to work with special window. And to get there, we need to use something called the status bar. Status bar is at the bottom right corner. So if you're looking at the page 114, that in the project 1C, the second window, second picture indicates bottom right corner, right here, and this is status status bar, and then it's got, what is the average? 1554.53, and the counts 14, and the sum, and all that kind of things. That's the status bar, and then I can change the zoom in and out. And here is the normal, and then here is showing it everything in one view. And here, that's the one that you want to click, and that is called page break preview button. So click on it, and it says welcome to page break preview. Alright, you can adjust the page breaks by clicking and dragging them with your mouse. So in this particular view mode, you can do that. So click, let's say drag it down, because that, oopsie, not that one. Is it this one? There. And no, that's not it. Undo. Undo. So the line is kind of not clear. I thought that was the line. No. Alright. Okay. Now it's better. Phew. Click that one and drag it down. There. I removed it. So I got confused with the row selection. I guess I clicked on it before. So this blue lines are the column, the page breaker. So if you want a page break right in the middle, like before, this will be the page 1, this will be page 2, and that's it. And these pages not going to be printed. That's not good. So move it back here. Alright, now this is going to be page 1, and that's going to be page 2, and you can change that or bring it up. This is the page 2, that's not good. Page 1, no, that's not good. So I'm going to move it down here, right below the total income. And in fact, I'm going to bring it down right above expenses, so that the second page will start at the top of the page. So again, this is kind of thing that you want to practice a lot, so you can kind of see how the changes that you make, what kind of effect does it have. So if you go back to File and Print, and here we have the first page. It includes all the totals, the monthly totals, and the income item totals. Go to the second page. Again, it shows everything. Well, we're not quite done yet. I noticed that, especially on the second page, we have these numbers with no columns showing. So it's not necessarily that professional, and then we'll fix that. We'll remedy that in the next project. But for now, let's go back to the sheet, and let's go back to the normal view. So go back to the status bar in the bottom right corner, and then click on it, and we come back to the normal view. Okay, so let me just go ahead and pause a little bit.